Hello everyone, it's Kathy and you're back with me here on my YouTube channel, Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I'm located here in the beautiful state of North Carolina. But if you are not currently working with a demonstrator and you are interested in any of the projects that I do or the products that I use, please reach out to me. I would love the opportunity to earn your business and to be your friend. So that's always the most important thing about being a demonstrator, is the friends that we make along the way. So today is Tuesday, January the 4th, and guess what? This catalog has gone live today. And now guess what? I can open it and I can show you all of the beautiful things inside this catalog. And I am telling you, I do believe that Stampin' Up! Outdid themselves with this particular catalog. I mean, there are so many pretty things. This is the Sweet Talk collection. And this is actually a suite because it comes with everything that you need. You have stamps and dies, embossing folders, little boxes to decorate. You have gems and ribbon and designer series paper. I mean, everything is right here. You may have to invest in a pack of cardstock and maybe some adhesive, you know, glue or tape runner or something like that. But as you can see, everything that you would need would be right here in this one little this suite. And because of the fact that they're giving you the bundle price, because you are getting the stamps and the dies, that includes that 10% discount right here. This little die right here, it looks like it might be a flower, but actually it looks like this. And it actually makes the cutest little tiny envelope. So stinking cute. I could see all of these little hearts flying out of that envelope. That would be so cute. So many ideas. I mean, this is just the cutest. And the stamp set is those conversational hearts. Remember the little boxes we used to get when we were kids? Absolutely love, love, love this particular suite for all those reasons. Again, if you come over here, it will show you just the stamps and the dies and some more ideas. Your catalog is a great resource for ideas on making cards. I'm not going to go and thumb through the entire catalog. Many of you have gotten yours. If you have not gotten your catalog, please reach out to me. And I am still in the process of trying to get some of these in myself. But if you will email me and let me know that you would like one of these catalogs and you are planning on ordering. Now, if you've ordered from me in the past 6 months, you will have already received one of these, because I had everyone on my list that should be getting a catalog. So today we're going to actually center in on this Tulip Fields with that cute little windmill and the Windmill Fields dies. And this is such a stinking cute. And if you saw my Facebook post from yesterday, and yes, I was without power the better part of the day, but thank goodness we finally did get power back on, and I'm telling you what, I was so thankful for electricity. And these days, it's like we can't do anything without our electricity, our internet. You know, these are just things that we have become dependent on. But anyway, I made this card in the dark. It wasn't really dark. I had a little light coming in from my window, but it was very cloudy. We got a lot of rain. We did not get snow. My daughter, who lives 5 hours north of me in Virginia, she did get snow. They got a lot of snow. But anyway, we just had high winds, and that's what took my power out and my internet. But nevertheless, everything's back good. But I thought this card turned out stinking cute and absolutely adorable. Now, this is a different size card. This is like a mini slimline. It's a little fatter than a regular slimline, but I like the way it turned out. And you might say, well, how did you come up with the size? I reached into my stash of cut cardstock and I pulled out this piece, and it was like that. I measured it and I said, I'm gonna score it in half and see what I got. I love the size. And I said, okay. There's nothing that says a card has to be a certain size. And if you have an envelope maker or a board where you can make your own envelopes, you can very easily custom an envelope for a card like this. So, you know, don't be afraid of that. But that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to show you what I've done. I have some things that I want to stamp already in my Stamparatus. I'm going to turn it around this way, and I'm going to grab my stamp set and lay this right here. I like to do it this way so that I can lay it over and have a nice flat place here. Let me zoom y'all out just a little bit. Try to do this nice and slow so I don't make you dizzy. I'm going to move this over just a little bit so I can try to stay in frame. That's the hardest thing when you're doing these videos, is making sure that you are in frame. So I try real often to look at my monitor. I have a little monitor on my camera that's above my head. But I'm going to use my Momento Tuxedo black ink. And the reason I want to use this ink is because I want to color these. Now I'm going to do my, you know what, I wanted to do different. I wanted to do a different color on that tree. Okay, let me regroup, y'all. Y'all know I'm always having to regroup. I'm going to grab my Stampin' Mist, and I am going to grab just one of my, you can see my multicolored towel. This is the cloth of many colors, sort of like, you know, Dolly's coat of many colors and Joseph's coat of many colors. And I'm going to clean off that one tree stamp. I don't want that one to be black. Just remembered that I want my tree green, and I actually want those, I want these clouds to be blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in and just do the windmill. Just do that windmill, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp him. Like that. Ah, oh, beautiful. First time. Love it when my stamps cooperate. And Stampin' Up, again, y'all have heard me say this over and over, and I will not stop saying it. Quality, quality, quality. You get high quality with Stampin' Up products. Now this is my garden green, and I'm going to do my tree. And that garden green. And we are going to stamp that right about there. And see, I'd already positioned these where I needed them, so I shouldn't have a hard time. I do need to hit that tree one more time right about here. So I'm just going to re-ink the tree. And then we're going to push that down and make sure I get right in that spot that looked like it didn't ink real well. Oh yeah, that's gorgeous. And then I'm going to close up this ink pad. And I'm going to go in and grab, let me move my little drink out of the way. I'm going to grab my Balmy Blue, and I'm going to do my clouds in a Balmy Blue. So see, even if you use a Stamparatus, you can go ahead and load everything on here and then just stamp in the color that you want it to be. So there's my Balmy Blue clouds. Aren't they pretty? And I'm going to hit those one more time just to give them a nice, vibrant blue. Love that Balmy Blue. It's so pretty. Ah, rich. I love it. So I'm going to leave that color ink out, and my garden green and my Momento, because guess what? I'm going to take my magnets off of my Stamparatus. I'm going to turn this around and put my other piece of paper up here. Put my magnets back on here and here. And I'm going to do this one more time. So again, I'm going to take my Momento Tuxedo Black, and I'm just going to ink up my windmill. And we're going to stamp it. And see, we got a little bit of the tree color on there, but don't fret over that because we are going to ink it with the green, our beautiful little tree. And we're going to press that down. Go ahead and get the blue done, and then when we come back I will grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and we will go ahead and get these cut out, because we're going to cut these as well. We have dies for all of this, so that makes it super duper easy. We will have to do 2 passes through the machine because we've got 2 separate pieces of paper to work with here. Just like that, and that all the stamping is done. So we'll meet right back up and I'll show you how we're going to cut those all out. Alright, I got this out of my Stamparatus. I went ahead and cleaned my stamps and put those away, and I got my Stamparatus wiped down. Now what I want to do is I want to cut these off. I'm just going to bring them to about here, and all I want to do is just slice that piece off. That's going to make it small enough where I can put it into my Stamparatus, and it's also going to leave me a piece of white here should I need it for something else, maybe a sentiment or something. So I'm going to lay that up there, and then these 2 are going to go into the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I absolutely love this machine for all the reasons that you would love a die cut machine. It's easy to use, cuts great first time every time, and it's so easy to crank. This is if you have difficulty with your arms being able to crank things through, then I would highly recommend getting one of these Stampin' Cut and Emboss machines. This thing is awesome, and it's almost as though the plates, the way they're beveled down, they have almost a self-feeding through. So I love that. So they're easy to use too, because your base plate, which is your number 1 plate, everything is self-explanatory. It shows you the sandwich for whatever you need, whether you're doing a die cutting or whether you're doing embossing, like a standard embossing folder or a 3D or dynamic embossing folder. If it's one of the thicker ones, you'll use that specialty plate, and that comes with the machine. So it's not like you have to buy anything. Everything you need comes with the machine. So I have, and this is your adapter plate that you use when you're die cutting. So I'm going to put that down, and then this is my cut plate. And you can see that I have used and used and used this cut plate. But it's still good. I'm not going to throw it out just yet. And then this is always my dedicated top plate. And if you notice, my plates are not warped. And I've told y'all many times, the secret behind doing that is just putting your, flipping your plate. As soon as this one has a little bit of a curve to it, like right there, see I can push it and it goes up and down. As soon as I feel that, I turn it over and I use the other side. And every time that I use the top plate, I flip it to make sure that I'm using the next side. I'm flipping it to use it over. And you want to flip it this way, this way, this way, and this way. So make sure you're flipping in all different directions. So I'm going to put it this way this time, because I think that was the right way from last time. And I am going to grab my little piece. And let's see, my dies. I did take out my tree. Here's my tree, and here's my clouds. You know I'm going to need to tape those on, so I'm probably going to, I'll tell you what, let's set this back over here long enough for me to tape these on. I'm going to show you how I do this so that I get a good cut every time. The rule of thumb is that you do not want to see any white showing around your piece. So you want to push this up around as close as you can get just about like that. And then I use these little post-it flags. These work good for me. Whatever works for you to hold your dies down without tearing your paper, that's what I would suggest you use. Then I'm going to take the little cloud, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to sit it down over top, and I'm going to grab another flag, and then we're going to do the little one. And again, that same rule of thumb, you don't want any white to be showing around the outside edges. Grab another one of my flags, and now we're going to grab out, the only one I forgot to take out was my little windmill, so I'm going to grab that off from my dies, and we are going to put this right up under here. Just like that. I like that. And I'm going to grab, and these are my little post-it flags that I use. I buy them like this, and I am in the process of setting up an Amazon store. So things like this that I use, and they have a suction on them, so you can pull these out like that without it lifting off of your desk, which I think is super. That's if you're smarter than the equipment. The first ones that I bought, I didn't know that's what this piece down here was. And let me show y'all what I did. You're gonna laugh when you see this. I know you are. I was just about out of these, so I ordered some more. I tore that off because I thought it was something sticky under there that would make this stick to the desk. So if you purchase any of these, do not take this off. This is actually your suction mat. And see, it's really good suction because you can pull one of these out without it lifting off of your desk, and then you can just slide it to lift it up. But yeah, stupid me. You know, my husband always says you got to be smarter than the equipment, and I always tell him evidently I'm not. But these I still was able to use them, and I will continue to finish out that pack. Alright, so now that I've got this all down, I am going to go ahead and run it through. Okay, my cut plate, and lay it on like that. It doesn't matter how you lay it as long as it's up there. Put my top plate over, and I want you to watch how easy that cranks through. Now when it gets to the dies, you will have to hold onto the handle and just a little bit harder turn, but it feeds through so easy. I mean, y'all saw how easy that was. I've pretty much done it with one finger. And then when you finish, look how well these cut. Everything is cut out. The only reason they're staying attached is because of my tape. There's one piece, and here is, I'm going to leave these on here because I'm going to use them again. So I just want to release the actual die cut, not the die. There's my little cloud. So I'm going to lay these over. Let's lay these right over here. And here's my other little cloud. And I'm going to lift that off, and I'm going to leave that piece attached, so because we're going to do this again. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to cut my other sheet, and when we come back together, we'll be ready to color the little windmills. And that should make this process go a little faster. So I'm going to go ahead and tape down my other piece, which is this piece right here, and I'll be right back. Alright, we got all of those pieces done, and they are ready to go, but I wanted to show you. I started to go ahead and trim around it, and I thought, no, I am going to bring this and show what happens sometimes when we don't get our dies lined up perfectly. Now, this tree did stamp darker than this tree, but that's okay because no two trees are the same. But this one cut out just about perfect, whereas this one did not. And you see how I've got that excess white right around here and a little bit down there on the bottom? If that happens to you, especially if it's something that's kind of jaggedy like this, it's so easy just to go in and just do that little shaky, you know how I told you I just kind of go back and forth like that? That is all you have to do, is just wiggle your scissors and go around it, and just take ever so slightly a little bit off, come up this side and do your wiggles, and you can trim out that tree, and nobody ever has to know that that didn't cut beautifully. You know, most of the time people we give our cards to, I mean, unless we send them to each other, they're not card makers. They don't know. And a lot of times I think we're too critical on our own selves by, you know, just being a little bit too persnickety with our pieces. But here's my clouds, and here's my little windmills. Now we're going to make that one big windmill, but I did not do any coloring with this. I did it all with just colored cardstock, and we're going to do that again. But what I want to do with these is I want to color them, and I want to show you the paper. I'm actually going to use a different paper than I used on this one, because I thought, how nice would it be to have a different card? I'm going to use all the same elements, but I'm going to do it with a very different paper. So I'm going to set that up there. I want to get all of my little clouds over here, and my trees. I'm going to set my trees over here. And now these two windmills are what I want to color, but I want them to kind of coordinate. You notice how this one coordinated with the paper back here, the Misty Moonlight. This card I'm going to make out of Highland Heather. So I think what I want to do is I want to use Gorgeous Grape and Highland Heather, or maybe just, I'm thinking maybe I want to do pink, or maybe a rich Razzleberry. Let's do the rich Razzleberry. These will be a little bit darker, but that's okay. So I am going to pull my rich Razzleberry. Can y'all believe I got those at the right time? Usually I pull out the wrong color. I am going to grab a piece of grid paper just to have the color on, because I don't want to get ink on my work surface. I love the little grid paper that goes in the Stamparatus for that. It's just small, and it's nice size to have to use when you color or when you stamp even. I like the smaller. It's not to say, y'all seen me use the larger, and I do use it. I'm going to zoom y'all in so you can see what I'm coloring. That looks good about there. And I am going to start out with my light. No, I'm going to start out with my dark. Y'all know I'm very undecisive. I'm going to start out with my my dark, and I'm going to use my bullet tip. That focus. There's two tips on your Stampin' Blend markers. You have a brush tip and a bullet tip. So I'm going to start out with my bullet tip, and the reason for that, I'm not coloring a large section here. It's very small, so I think this will do what I need it to do. I'm going to go in where these lines are at, and I'm just going to lay down a little bit of color. I want my door to be dark, so I'm just going to color that. I want to color this rail like that, and I'm not coloring it totally. I'm just that window, and then these lines right here, right across there. This just gives you a little added dimension. I'm going to do across the top right there. Now I am going to take a little bit of this and just run it across the bottom of these and the top, because I'm going to come back in with that lighter and fill that back in. So I just want a little bit of that dark, just like that. And then I'm going to come back in with the light rich Razzleberry. Again, I'm going to use that bullet tip, and I'm going to start to blend. And blend. And do the same thing up here. I'm just going to blend that in. The alcohol markers are so forgiving. So I'm going to go in here and just blend these little windmill pieces. Just like that. Oh, we need to go up in here. Just like that. And you want some dimension. I mean, you don't want it to be like flat. That's the reason of using the two colors will help keep it from looking flat. So, and you know, don't become overwhelmed. Like if you are interested in the alcohol markers that Stampin' Up! Carries, don't feel like you have to go in and buy the entire bundle at one time. I sell Stampin' Up! And I was not able to go in and buy every marker they had. So I started out with just getting a couple of the markers at a time. And I would just mark off in my catalog every time I would complete my markers, and then before you know it, I had all of my markers. And that's the best advice that I can give anybody that wants to collect the ink pads, the Stampin' Write markers. Well, the Stampin' Write do come in a band, but if you're ever going to place a large order that's $400 or over, you will qualify for a half-price item, and that's when I would get either the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It's regularly $120. You can get it for $60 if you take advantage of that. So there's lots of ways that you can get sales and incentives to get the items that you really want and would love to have. All right, so I'm going to come in with this next one, and I think for it, I'm going to do, nope, that's not the right color. I need to pull out my old colors. I keep grabbing them. I think this is the Highland Heather. Yeah, this is my Highland Heather. I'm going to do this one just a little bit different than I do the other one because I want this, okay, that is the dark. I'm going to go in just like I did with that one, and I'm going to do my dark first. And I'm going to pretty much do it the same way. I'm going to color my door, hit on these little marks right here, go across the bottom, a little bit right here on that rail, come up here and hit these dots, do a line across there, down there, hit that window, a little bit across there. Then I'm going to work on these little windmill blades just like that. Like that. And now we're ready to come in with that lighter shade, and we're going to blend everything out. So just like that, blend that colors together. So easy to color with these. They take all the work out of coloring and just make it an absolute joy to color your pieces. I love to color with the Stampin' Blends. And the reason they blend so well is they are an alcohol-based marker, and anytime you're dealing with alcohol, they're very blendable. And you don't have any of the lines that you get with the water-based markers like the Stampin' Write, Tombows, anything that's a water. But now if you want to have good success with your water markers, get some watercolor paper. And of course I would say get the Stampin' Up! Fluid 100 is without a doubt the best that I have ever used. And I've used quite a few. Now you see the difference. There's the Rich Razzleberry and there's the Highland Heather. They coordinate very well together, but the colors are totally different. This one has much more of a red tint, where this has more of that blue hue tint that you see in a lavender. I'm going to lay those over there, and let's move this over here because I did not get that dirty, so we can use that again. I think what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and cut my card base. And this card base, because it is a little bit different, we are going to cut, we got the 8.5 already cut for us, so we're going to turn it this way and cut it at 6.5. So I'm going to open up my arm. 6.5 is going to be right after this piece. You're going to have 6.5. Right before that, you're going to have one mark, and then the very next one, that's 6.5. And I am going to cut. Now I'm going to save this because we can definitely, let me zoom y'all back out a little bit. There we go. This piece right here we're going to use for our windmill. We're going to probably do this in Gorgeous Grape. So what I want to do now is I want to turn it to that 8.5 side, and we are going to score this at, did I not do that right? 8.5. Yep, that's, oh, it is an 8.5. How did I do that? 8. Yes, it is 8.5. So we're going to score this, and this one's going to be a different size. Oh no! How did I do that? Let me look back at this one. Maybe I measured this one wrong. This one is 6.5 by 8.5, and we scored it at 4.25. And this is right. I just had I got 3.25 rather than 4.25. I knew something wasn't right, y'all. I had written down my measurements wrong. So let me make that correction so I don't put that in my description. So it's going to be scored at 4 1/4 on the 8.5 inch side. So 4 1/4, and we're going to move that cut blade out of our way, and we are going to score. And then I'm going to lift up my bar, turn this over. Y'all know I like to let's bring in my arm. That gives me that wonderful little ledge right here. And I'm going to hold that right up to it, and I'm going to bring this in like that. And I'm going to grab my bone folder, and I am going to crease. Just like so. So now that gives us the same card base as we have here. So now we are ready to do some decorating. So I pulled out, because I grabbed this paper pack because it's so pretty. I couldn't help myself, and it is called, let me grab it. It is actually behind me. So let me see if I can get my puppy dogs out from under my feet so I don't roll over any tails. Toby's real smart. He's gotten where he moves the minute that I get ready to swing my chair. He has learned. This paper pack is called Flowering Fields. Oh my word. It is gorgeous. And I chose this piece and this piece. Love, love, love that bright yellow with the beautiful hues of purples and rich razzleberry, and look at that hint of evening evergreen and the just jade. I think there might even be some soft succulent in there, but look at that yellow, and it's got those beautiful yellow daisies on, not daisies, tulips on the other side. I want to call them daisies for some reason. Anyway, the rest of this paper is stunning. This is the piece that I used in the background here for the clouds. And isn't that gorgeous? That was the other piece I had cut. I used this strip. I used a strip of this along the bottom here. We're going to cut another piece of that. So pretty. And look at the back of these papers. You've got the beautiful florals on one side, and what Stampin' Up! Does so beautifully, they literally make your paper where you can use it for the theme that it was meant for on one side, the flowering fields, or you can turn it over and get an entire different, this is a beautiful, like a watercolored paper. It almost looks like they did some ink blending with some watercolors, and I love that. I think it's stunning. And you get 2 sheets of each design. There's the one that I pulled that I'm going to use, and the back side of that one is this. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Love it, love it. And then of course the other piece that I pulled was this piece, and y'all saw that. And then this piece is another piece like I showed you, and there's those beautiful tulips that I showed you in the beginning. And oh my word, look at this. Stunning, stunning, stunning. I can't stand it. It's so pretty. Love this paper. So, new mini catalog. Y'all can grab that today. So, now's the time to go over there and grab some of these items before they're gone. I know that some of the items they had limited stock on, and I know that y'all are going to want to grab that ASAP. So I think what I'm going to do is I want to cut my frame out of this piece. So I want this piece to measure 4 by 6 1/4. So I'm going to move my little die cut pieces over there so I don't lose them. So I am going to cut, I want my 6 1/4 to go this way because it's going to be landscaped. So 6 1/4. I'm going to pull my arm out. We know that's 6 1/2, so we're going to come over to right there, and I believe that's going to be 6 1/4. I'm going to double check. I don't usually cut 6 1/4 on this trimmer. So to double check myself, where is my trusty ruler? I know I had it just a moment ago. What did I do with it? You know, it's so easy on your crafting desk to lay everything out and then not be able to find what you're looking for. So I'm going to go to 6 1/4 right there, and that lines up right on the bend of the board. So that's a good way. If you have this trimmer and you have trouble figuring out where your 6 1/4 is, it is right there on that bend where that longest line goes down. So now we know. I figure, you know, measure twice, cut once. It's my rule of thumb, and a lot of other crafters, because it just makes sense. So I am going to slice up, lay that over there, and now this piece we want to turn it and we want to cut it at 4. So 4 inches and slice. I'm going to lay this over here. Now this piece is the only piece we got to do a little fancy footwork on. And you might say, okay, here we go. What are we going to do? We are going to lay this on, you can lay this on your mat. These are 1/2 inch intervals. Each one of these is a 1/2 inch. 2 of them equals 1 inch. I want to measure over 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And 1/2 inch. The reason for that, I want to cut out a frame. I don't have a die that will cut this rectangular frame out for me where I want it. So for that reason, at least I don't think I do. Let me look at those scallop. Let's look at these scalloped. I don't think so. I think it's going to be short just a little bit. Yes, it's not going to give me what I need at the top and too much on the sides. I had looked at this before, and I also looked at my rectangular, stitched rectangular dies, and let me pull those and just see. Yeah, I don't have one that's big enough that will cut that either without causing me a little distress. And I left some stickies on these, and I know why. I did some frames, but we're not doing frames right now, so we're gonna see. That's too much on the side. I just don't have the right size. So when you don't have the right size die, and I'd love to do these because I love that stitching, but you know what, we're not going to cry over it. We're going to make it work, and I'm going to show y'all how to do that. We are going to cut it. We're going to hand cut it, but we're going to use our trimmer, and we're going to use some measurements. So let's just push these all back down in here, and you know what, I'll straighten those out after the video. So I'm going to lay those over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my trusty ruler, and I am going to use this ruler. Works, and I have been having leg cramps like crazy today, y'all. So I'm having to stand up for just a moment. I have these all the time, but lately for some reason they have been severe. So I do go back to my doctor the middle of the month, and I'm going to talk to him and possibly see if they want to revamp some of my meds to maybe help counteract this. I don't know. I have suffered with these for years on end, and it seemed like they got better for a while, and now they've just reared their ugly head again. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to measure down a 1/2 inch, and this ruler is real easy because that's a 1/2 inch and that's a 1/2 inch. So I know that I can take my pencil. I'm using my big mechanical pencil, and I'm going to put a line right there. And then I'm going to go up. I want to make sure I can see that because it looks like it's on the dark. Okay, I can see it if I hold it in the light. The lead kind of shines a little bit. So I'm going to lay that back down here. And I'm going to come in that 1/2 inch. And I'm going to make another line or dot right there. I can see that one. Then I'm going to turn it this way. Again, I'm going to line it up right on that line. You want to make sure you got it good and squared. And I'm going to line this up right here with that dot. And I know that this is a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to make another dot right there. And line it up again. By lining it up, you know you're getting it completely straight, and that's so important when you're cutting a frame out. So I'm going to line that up, line it up, okay. There we go. And that's a 1/2 inch right there. So I got my 4 corners lined up, so this should make it pretty easy. The only one I think I will have trouble seeing is that one right there. It just happens to fall right on that leaf, so I think I might cut that one first since it looks to be the hardest. I'm going to bring my trimmer back out. And I'm going to line this up at a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to look for that little divvy, get my score blade out of the way, and I'm going to come up to a 1/2 inch on this guide. And this has a clear guide, and I stuck a piece of paper, white paper, so I could see those measurements much better when I'm putting it down on something like this. And I'm going to line that line. There's a line right here on your blade. And I'm going to line that up, and I'm going to press it in, and I want to slice down until I get to that other mark, which is right there. I think that will be, and we got it. Now, if you don't get this cut all the way to the dot, you can easily come in and snip it out using your paper snips. So if you don't get it all the way, don't fret over it. Just keep going. So now I'm going to put this one in, and I can see my dot in this one, so I'm going to line it up right there on the dot, and I'm going to slice up to that dot, or the 1/2 inch. And it's better to not cut it enough than to cut it too much, because see what you can do? I didn't cut that one quite enough, but watch. Using my paper snips, I can go in and just snip, and that comes right loose. So again, I'm going to line this up on the 1/2 inch. I'm going to go up to the 1/2, sink my blade, and come all the way down to there. And that time it looks like I lined up pretty well. 1/2 inch, right over to here. Bring this down, bring it up to the 1/2 inch. Press it down and slice down to there. Now, if we're very fortunate, and we were, that lifted right out of there. Save this piece because you can use this for another card. And there's our frame. So this frame is going to actually go on here like that, but we need something behind there. That's where this beautiful piece of orange or yellow orange is going to come in. So I want to cut a piece that is going to be what's going to go under this frame. So I want it to be 6 by 3 1/2. 6 by 3 1/2. So I'm going to cut it. I want it to be 6 this way. So we're going to cut it off at 6. And then I'm going to turn it this way and do it at, what did I say, 3 1/2? I think that's what I said. You know, when in doubt, measure again. 3 1/2. So 3 1/2. And all these measurements are going to be in, and I'm checking to make sure I said, okay, I don't have that right. So it's going to be 6 by 3 1/2. And that's going to be our piece that's going to go in for our background. And that's going to go in like this. But what we're going to do to make it easy, we're going to glue that. And see how pretty that's going to be with that beautiful frame around it? Oh, love those colors. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to center this on here. And about like that, because you know what? Just checking to make sure that that's going to cover well, and it is. I want this to be lifted up away from this, so I'm going to center this down, and I'm going to use some Stampin'. No, I'm not. I'm going to use glue because I want some wiggle room. So I'm going to grab some liquid glue, and I am going to always be very careful when you're using designer series paper because it's not as thick as cardstock. And you don't want the wetness of the glue to show through. So what I want to do is put this smack dab in the middle. Sorry about my dog, Bella's snoring. So if you hear some snorting in the background, it was sleeping good. Now this will go over top of this, just like this. But this is going to be up because we're going to use some tape, some dimensional, to go around the edge of this. And I think what I'm going to grab is Stampin' Up! Has adhesive strips. These are called the foam adhesive strips, and they work great for projects like this. And they're very easy to use. Before we do that, I'll tell you what, before we even get started, I'm just going to pull those out. I want to cut a piece that's going to be our flowers that's going to go down at the bottom. So I'm going to grab that pack of paper one more time. Probably ought to leave it out, huh? And I think for this one, I'm going to cut a strip right across this. See how that is just beautiful? And I think it will go well, those little purple flowers. And we're going to need a piece that is, let's lay this over to the side. It just happened. I mean, you could easily cut off of the top and have the pink flowers if you wanted to. But I'm thinking that those purple flowers, and they just happen to be at the bottom edge of this paper. It wasn't like I had to cut into the paper to get them. They're already right there. So I'm just going to take my trimmer, and I'm going to line this up in my trimmer about to there. Move that score blade out of my way, and I'm just going to slice. And you're going to have a little bit of yellow there. If that bothers you, you can very easily take your paper snips and just kind of go in and out. It doesn't bother me, so I'm fine with it being that way. And I want this to go the full length of this piece. So that piece was 4 by 6 and no, that was 6 inches. So I'm going to cut this off at 6 inches. I'm going to lay my papers over there. So I'm just going to bring this in and cut it at 6. We know that that's 6 right there. And this is a real easy piece to cut. So I'm just going to hold that down really tight and snip. So now that is ready to go across the bottom, just like that. Very pretty. Now when we set this piece back over it, we're going to have those beautiful flowers that's already glued down. So move my paper trimmer. And that piece is already down. I think for this piece, I am going to just take a piece of my Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to run one piece of Stampin' Seal right across the edge of that. Love, love, love this stuff. It's super sticky. Just make sure when you put it down, it's where you want it to be, because it is sticky. Just like that. Then our little frame will go on and be lifted up from that. That is going to be gorgeous. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get our adhesive strips on this, and these come off and they're like 1/4 inch pieces. So wonderful to have these in your stash because they work beautifully. I'm just going to snip that off right there. And we might need to use 2 on this. So, but you know what? I think we can get away with 1. We're going to try 1. I'm going to put it right in the middle and run it to there. And then I'm going to snip it. And then I'm going to run this piece from here to there. I think we'll run that one all the way down since we just have a tiny little piece left over. And I have a place for it. I'm going to use it right here on this little corner, just for a little reinforcement. And then I'm going to peel off one more piece. And I'm going to run this one, I'm going to butt it right up against that one, right in the middle. And run it over all the way to the end. And snip it. And then this one can run from here to there. And then I got this one other little piece, and we're going to lay him. Let's lay him right there, and we'll cut it. Beautiful. And this little piece can go right here. That way we're not wasting any of it. Looks like we do have a little bit of an overhang right there, but that's okay. I'll pull it back. If that's all the waste I'm having, I'm a happy camper. And I'm just going to snip that little bit off. And that little teeny crumb is all I'm wasting. That's not half bad. And we've got this frame ready to go on top of this. But before I put the frame down, we haven't pulled the backer off of this, so we can lay that wherever we need to. And you get, is it 2 of these that come in here? 2 packs? There's 40 strips altogether, so I'm not sure. I think there's 2. I've used out of this ever since I've been in Stampin' Up, and I'm going on 2 years now that I've been with Stampin' Up. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. All right, so now we need to put our pieces where we want them to go. We still got to die cut our windmill. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and get our pieces over and let's cut our windmill. I think for this one I want to do the dark, oh goodness, what is the name of that color? Gorgeous Grape. Where is my Gorgeous Grape? Must be in the brights. Yep. Look at that. Ah, you know, you think that the Highland Heather is bright until you see the Gorgeous Grape, and see how well they pair together. Love it. So we are going to cut, we are going to die cut, but let me show you what we're going to do. I'm going to move those scrap pieces out of my way, and I'm also going to go ahead, while I'm here, I am going to take my little pieces off of here. I'm going to lay all my dies over here for right now because I don't want to lose them. And this way I can feel assured that they're all in one place. And I'm going to pull out my big old windmill, and on the other die, there's 2 pages of dies. We have the beautiful little house and the solid house. And I think what I want to do is I want to cut, I'm going to put this back in here. Actually, I think I'm going to do the detailed part that's going to go on top out of this. Isn't it bad to be so indecisive? Are y'all like that when you're crafting? I think for me, there's a part of me that has a tendency to be a perfectionist, and that gets me in trouble more than anything. No, I think I'm going to go with the way I did the other one. I'm going to cut this out of here, and I am going to cut this out of here. So I'm going to use my tape, and I am going to tape this down nice and secure. And this right here. And now I want to cut this piece off because I don't need all of that. And it would make it impossible to run it through my machine. So I'm going to cut this piece off to about here. So close that down. Oops, my score blade has come out of the track. If that ever happens, just come down here where the little indentation is, down here at the bottom, and just pop it back in. Not a big deal. I'll bend that back because I don't want to cut my tape. I just want to cut my piece of cardstock. I think that'll work. Just like that. And now this piece is ready to run through. And all I need to do here is tape this down, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut this off too because I don't need all of that. I just need enough to cut this piece. This is how I conserve my cardstock. I'm stingy when it comes to my designer series paper and my cardstock because I want it to go as far as I can get it to go, and get the most bang for my buck. And I think we all are that way to a degree. So I'm going to bring over my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine again, my pencil over here, and we are going to do this one first. Oh, that didn't stick on there very well, did it? It's okay, I got another one. This one is a newer one, so it should do better. If you notice what I'm doing, I turn that in an angle. Anytime you are putting anything through that has a flat edge, angle it. It doesn't put as much stress on your machine or your dies if it's angled. So angle it like that, and then it will go through. It helps if I open up the other side of my machine. It will go through much easier with a lot less popping. And that piece is done. Look at that. Look at that. Now I'm going to lay that over because we're going to get our little box and our brush and we're going to clean that out. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to do that. So I'm going to lay my die right here. How about over here with my other dies? That'll be a good place for it. My scraps over here. I'm going to go ahead and put my little pieces back up there. And now we're going to do this piece. And we're going to crank it through, crank it through, crank it through. Just like that. And take, oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at all those little dots. So you can't see it. Let me show you. Oh, I'm going to move my machine over here out of my way. And my plates, let's pull this over here. Look at all these little dots that fell out. This is how easy this and how beautiful this machine cuts. And I am literally just raking these off with my thumb. I'm just taking my thumbnail and raking them off. That's how good this machine cuts. I mean, this is a very detailed die. And look at that. I love it when my pieces come out so easily and I don't have to fight with them. But I'm going to show you, if you have something that is a little harder, I'm going to lay that right there, and I'm going to dump this in my trash so I don't have those little pieces all over my floor. Then I'll be in here with my little dust buster trying to get them up. Okay. So now my plates are all ready to go again. I'm going to sit them over here because I don't think I'm going to need them anymore. So now let's take this piece up. And this is going to be the base of our little windmill. I wouldn't love to go to Denmark and see these real, what is it, Holland? Oh, I would love to go and see a real live windmill. The little houses. It's like, I guess, like our lighthouses here in North Carolina, you know, over on the coast, the Outer Banks. I mean, we're so famous for the beautiful lighthouses. All right, I'm going to move these dies over there. Okay, so I did find my my die brush and my pads, and I had changed my box and I had forgot that I did it, and it was in the first place I looked. So what I did is and I'm using a paper pumpkin box, as you can see. I put die cut brush and pads because that's what this is, my die cut brush, and this is actually the take your pick tool. And what I did is I bought the brush that actually goes on the side where the putty part is, and I went ahead and bought 2 of these because the reason I did that is I use this so often. I didn't want to have to take my parts out, you know, back and forth, so I just dedicated this one for my die cuts, and I keep it in here with the pads. And when you buy the brush, these 2 pads come with the brush, so it's a nice little investment. But I want to show you by using this how easy your pieces all fall out, and you can roll it first one way and then the other, but all of your pieces just literally crumble out. And the pieces that don't, you use the pokey end and you just poke them through like so, just like that, and that just helps loosen them up. And then you brush them and just poke them away. So this is a great way of cleaning out one of your dies. Also, if you have pieces that get stuck, now these release so well, I don't have any pieces stuck, but if you know how sometimes you have the dies and you get pieces stuck, you can hold that over and brush the dies out too. And sometimes with some dies you do get some of that sticking in there, but all in all this just works great. I like it a little bit better. I know one of the tricks that I've seen so many people use, and I've even used it, is take the dryer sheet and lay it over top, and your pieces stick to the dryer sheet, which is another great tip. But I don't buy dryer sheets anymore. I don't use them in my dryer because they seem to clog your filter, and I don't like that. And if you don't believe that they will clog your filter, if you've been using them, take your filter out and take it to clean the lint out of it, and then take it to the sink, and in the part that has like the divot, put water in it and watch it. Water will not go through it. So I figure if water can't go through it, air can't go through it either, and that can burn your motor up in your dryer faster. And you might ask me, how did I know that? I had to replace my dryer because of that very reason, so I stopped using dryer sheets. But if you got some, you know, and you want to use them, you could always use them for this, and they do work. I haven't used them with this particular die cut machine because I don't have to use a shim for this particular machine, and I'm almost afraid to use a shim on this one. I would say that if it ever felt loose and I felt like I needed to, I would, but I haven't had that problem with this machine at all. And I think I got one more piece and we'll have this all cleaned out. There we go. I'm looking on both sides to make sure all of it's gone, and it is. So now I'm just going to put my little tip on my brush, and this is ready to go back where I had it. And now we can line this piece up on top of this one, just like so. And if you notice, we have a little hole right here, and this little hole is where your windmill goes, or your little, the part that spins around. And you might say, well, how does that work? You can use a brad, and I'm going to show you. Stampin' Up! Have some brads that work really good, and these are in the annual catalog. They're called the round and square brads, and you get quite a few of those in here. And they're different size, and you can pick a round one or a square one, or, you know, whatever way you want. I did use a white square one on the last one that I did. I think I'm going to go for a round. Well, I think the round ones might be too small, so I guess we're going to go with the square one. But I'm going to use a black one this time. And I want to glue this down first, so I'm going to take and turn this over. And I'm going to grab one of my silicone craft sheets because I don't want to get glue on my my craft mat, and this is a sure way to make sure that doesn't happen. And I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to come in here and put some glue on all of these larger areas first. And then I'm just going to go around my edges, any of these places where I can put some glue that won't ooze too bad. Just like that. And then I'm just going to sit this on top of it. Oh, well, that didn't work out for me too well. But see, I got glue all over that. Had I not put that down, I would have had that all over my mat. The good thing about this silicone craft sheet is the glue will just roll off of it. So even after it dries, I can just come and just do that and roll that glue off, and we won't have any glue on anything. And it's just so nice to be able to do that. So I'm just going to press that down. That's all ready. And we'll lay this over here so I can clean that glue off of it in a little bit. Now I want to tell y'all something, and these are just little tidbits that I like to give you. Any of you that use any of this glue, and I use this glue because I like it, and I've seen other demonstrators do this, and they use things that they like. I won't advertise this glue because Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell it. I wish they did instead of the Tombow. But if you have difficulty with your pen going in and out, it's not your hole, it's your pen. I'm going to tell you what you do. You get a buildup of glue on this pen. So clean your pen off with alcohol wipe. You can use some hand sanitizer, a paper towel with some alcohol on it. That cleans that pen where it has no residue of glue, and your pen will go in every time. So it's not the hole that's clogged, it's your pen that has glue on it that keeps it from going in, and that's what bends your pen. So just thought I would throw that little tidbit out there in case you are one of those people that have that problem. Now I'm going to grab my Stampin' Pierce mat, and I'm going to use the back side of it because I need to poke a hole in here. And to do that, I'm going to grab my Take Your Pick tool. And this is the one I grab all the time, and I keep the putty end on here, and I keep the pokey end on this one. And I'm just going to poke right down in there just like that. Now that puts a little hole in your mat, but that's okay. Now I can line this up, and I want it to be lined up like that. Then I can take my little brad and stick it right through there. And see how pretty that is? And you can square it or set it up as a diamond. It's totally up to you how you want it to go. I like it in that diamond shape. Now when you get back here, you can easily do these in one direction. They don't have to be spread out because they're going to hold that in place. Plus this is going to be glued onto your card. So just you never feel like you have to spread those brads out in two directions. You don't. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring this back over, and I want to go ahead and put my pieces down where I think I want them, and I'm going to pretty much do the same thing that I did before. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and do my frame first. So we're going to put this frame on next. So let's go ahead and take our adhesive backer off, and I'm going to pull that up like that. And like that. There. And you just want to work all the way around here and get each one of these pieces pulled off. And if you got some little ones like this, make sure you get those off as well. And this Take Your Pick tool just makes everything you do so much easier. I am here to tell you, yes, it's a $10 tool, but it is worth every cent. I use it every time I craft, so I feel like when it's something I use all the time, it is well worth the money that I invest in it. Okay, so I'm just going to sit that down and press it. Isn't that pretty? I mean, that's already coming together to be a beautiful card. So what I want to do is I want to sit this right about here. What we're going to do is we're going to put some dimensionals behind here, but not here. So the part that's sitting down here, sort of like that. And then we're going to sit a tree, maybe right there. And we're going to have another one that's going to be sitting right about there. And then we have these other two windmills, and one's going to go right here, maybe even right there. This one's going to come over here, right about there. And we got these little clouds, and I want to put these just every here and there. So maybe one there, maybe one right there. We need a bigger one over here. Let's pop that up. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and put our clouds down, and then we'll come back. And I'm just going to do these with, you know, I really want a dimensional. I want to put them on dimensions. I'm going to grab my minis, my mini dimensionals, because they're fun. We might have to cut even the minis in two a little bit, but let's see. I think we can get one on a cloud. Yeah, there we go. So that's a little cloud. So we're going to do a big one there, maybe a little one right here. And I want a big one over there, but we're going to use a couple on this one because I think we can get one right about there. And another one maybe right here. I'm going to just put my trash right here on the side of my desk, and I'm going to try to use my dimensionals. Okay, I think I want this cloud to be right about there. That'll look pretty with the windmill behind. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. All right, so we want another little one. Maybe down lower, maybe right about here. And that other big one, maybe right about here. Oh, I love that. Do y'all like that? Like I can hear you. Let me zoom y'all in just a little bit more. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put some dimensionals on the back of this cloud. Just like so. Let me move up so you can see what I'm doing. These little dimensionals are tiny, so you can use take your pick tool if they're too small for your fingers. Sometimes they are with me because I don't have tiny hands. Okay, this one's going to go right about there. And then this one's going to come down low. Even hard to pick up, they're so tiny. Just one on this one. Oh, such a pretty card though. You know, I love cards that takes a little time to make. I think they're so pretty, and I want this one to be right behind that windmill just a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to grab my larger dimensionals, and I'm going to put those on my windmill. One right there, and one right here. And I think I'm going to take a little bit of glue and run it across the bottom, because that's going to catch right there on that frame. And I'm going to sit him down right about, oops, I'm going to need more dimensionals on there. So let's do one more there. And one more right there. So don't be afraid to stack your dimensionals. You can do that. There, that gives us the perfect dimension that we need. Okay, so the other windmill is going to go, oh, you know what? Yeah, we're going to put this windmill right here. So another, again, a couple of dimensionals. This one's going to be easy to put down because we're not putting it on a ledge. It's going straight down. Oh, so much fun. Don't y'all love when you can just get into your craft room and you can just create? So much fun. Oh yeah, I like it like that. And then this one's going to go right here. Right about there like that. Now this one's definitely going to have glue here and double dimensionals on the back up here. So I'm going to put one right here. My poor phone has been absolutely crazy today. And let's put this one here. All of my little dimensionals. You know what? My little vacuum cleaner is going to have a heyday with that. Oh my goodness. Alrighty. So now some glue across the end. You know what? We're going to need doubles on this too. I wasn't even thinking. So let's grab a dimensional and another one and another one. One more, and then pull these off. Yeah, I'm rushing because I don't want that glue to dry, but you know what? Oh well. We can always add some more if it does. Isn't that gorgeous? Looky, looky, looky. I love it. Now we need to put our trees down, and I think for those I'm going to go straight down. You know I'm not. I'm going to do dimensionals on them too. I love my dimensionals. I think they add so much to a card. And I love these little pre-cut ones. I'm going to tuck that tree down low. And then this one is going to get tucked up on the edge just a little bit. So I'm just going to put two right here kind of close together. See how I did that kind of close? Over on this side, it's over on the right side because that left side's going to sit on that ledge just a little bit around that frame. That's where I'm going to put some glue, right about there. And it's going to take two of those also. Wow. Okay. I have to remember that I have dimensional underneath there, so it is going to raise that up double height. So I keep forgetting that. But it's okay because we can still make it work. Just like that. So, so pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? Now the only thing we're missing is a sentiment, and I think I want to put something maybe here or right up here. And it's going to be something small. The other one I had a hello on it. I'm not sure what I want to do on this one. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and dig through my stamps and my sentiments and things like that. And see, I already have a buildup of glue on that pen. I can feel it. So I'm going to take that same wipe. And I told y'all I make my own alcohol wipes. So I'm just going to clean that pen off. And now I can feel that there's no residue left on it. And that's going to go down inside that perfectly. So just a little tidbit there. I want y'all to know those little tricks like that. And you may have your own tricks. And if you have little things that you want to share with me, I am always up to learn a new trick. Oh my gosh, I just love this. All right, let me go see what I can find as far as a sentiment goes, and we'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I think I found the perfect sentiment for this card. And while I was away, I went ahead and cut my inside mat for my sentiment. And this piece measures 4 by 6 1/4. So, and it's going to sit inside of this card, I think, absolutely beautifully. Just like that, giving us just that little tiny bit of border all around. But I want to do some stamping first, and I told you I was looking for something that would speak to me. The Sale-A-Bration catalog, everything in this little mini catalog, and this should have come with your mini catalog you got. The Sale-A-Bration catalog only runs from January the 4th through February 28th. So you're only going to have a full month, almost 2 months to take advantage of all of the free items in here. And I'm going to actually do a review on all of these. I'm not going to go through them right now, but Catching Butterflies, such a cute little stamp set. And we have the little girl with her little butterfly net, and then you have these beautiful little butterflies and the sentiments I love. It's a simple set. It is a clean stamp. And I hadn't even put the stickers on these because I hadn't gotten to those yet. So I pulled out the 3 that I want to use. And this is what I have. I'm going to move this all out of my way. And bring my paper over. And I need to decide how I want to do this. The first thing I want to do is I want to stamp on the scrap piece of white, "You Make My Heart Happy." And I'm going to stamp it right about there. And I'm just going to pick it up on a regular stamp block. And this I want to stamp in the Momento Tuxedo Black. So I'm going to ink this up. And I'm trying not to rock the stamp. I'm going straight up and down so that I get it just on the stamp itself. And then I'm going to come up to about here. I think I just put my finger in the ink. That's what it felt like. I'm going to stamp this right here at the top. I'm going to hold it and let that ink transfer just for a minute. "You Make My Heart Happy." I love that. And then while we're stamping, I'm also going to stamp "Celebrate Every Beautiful Thing." And I want this right in the the top upper, I want it to be in the middle. So I'm going to put this on here, and then I'm going to eyeball my middle right about there. And I'm going to go ahead and let me get my stamping screw, my Simply Chamois. I'll get that right in a minute. And I'm just going to clean that off real simple and pick up my Celebrate Every Beautiful Thing. I'm going to go ahead and do this in the black as well. And again, I'm going to try to eyeball center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need to come over just a tiny bit more this way. Stamp it down. And up. That's beautiful. Now I need to decide how I want to do those, and I think with the butterflies I want to use a color. And since we're going with that beautiful Highland Heather and gorgeous Grape, I'm going to grab my Highland Heather and I am going to stamp my butterflies in that beautiful soft lavender. And I don't want to over ink. I want to stamp these like right along here, and maybe some right up here. Oh, and I got a little bit of ink because I rocked that and I didn't even realize I did it. Let's clean that off. And I think I'm going to do some right here at the bottom. That'll still give us room to sign it, but it will kind of balance the card out. Yeah, and I'm still getting that ink right there. Okay, I'm going to go really easy right about here. And just let that ink transfer. With me doing it this way, I don't think I'm going to need to color these. I think that's going to be fine without adding any color to them. Now you could stamp them in black if you wanted to, and then color them in using your Stampin' Right or your Stampin' Blends. Or you could use colored pencils. Either one of those would work. Alright, I need to grab my little mono sand eraser. Y'all see me grab this thing out all the time. And I am going to try to get as much of that off as I can. Looks pretty good considering. So I'm going to get my surface sweep brush and I am just going to brush this off. Handy. So what I want to do with this is I want to trim it, and I'm going to trim this out about the same amount we have at the top. I want to do the same amount underneath it. So maybe something like that. Maybe a little bit more. Right there looks good. So I'm going to close that down, and then we are going to trim it. We can always come back at the top and trim some of that top off if we need to, and I think I do want to take just about 1/4 of an inch off. That looks really good. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and trim off about to there. And then we have a cute little banner that will work for the front of our card. But I do want to add a little something to that. And I think what I want to do, I'm trying to decide, I think I want to put it right here. I put the other one up at the top, and I think I want this one maybe right here. But before I do that, I'm going to grab my paper snips, and I just want to cut a little banner, and I'm going to do this by hand. And I'm just going to snip up halfway, and then I'm going to cut from corner to where I snipped, and the same thing on this side from the corner to my snip. Take that out, you have a perfect little banner. I'm going to do it on both sides. So snip up the middle, and then from the corner edge up, and from this corner up to where you cut it. And there we go. We have our little banner, and how stinking cute is that? You make my heart happy. And I'm going to glue this flat down, so I'm just going to grab my glue. Couldn't find it there for a moment. And all I want to do is just put a little bit of glue on the back of that. And I am going to set this right about here. I want it to come down to the end of my card, and then I'm just going to lay a little pressure on it, making sure I get my pen back in here, get that excess glue off before I push it in. And now we're ready to open it up. I want to make sure that adhered. I believe it did. Now we're ready to go ahead and put this on the inside. And you've got plenty of room here to sign it. And I think with the butterflies and that soft Highland Heather paper on the inside, this has just turned out to be a really very soft and beautiful card. I really hope that y'all have enjoyed the process of watching me put this together. It's been so much fun, and I would love to hear what y'all think about it, and if this is something that you would like to try. If you're interested in any of these products, like I said, everything will be listed in the video below underneath the description. Just click on the little drop down and it will take you right to where I've written up everything about it, all the measurements, the link to my Facebook page, the link to my online store, my email address, everything is right there. So it'll be very easy for you to grab all the supplies to be able to make this beautiful card for yourself. I love the way it turned out. I hope you did. And I'm gonna zoom you out just a little bit, and I'm gonna bring in the other one. The other one's a little different, but it is still just as beautiful as this one in their own way. So I really do love both of them, just for different reasons. And I wanted to bring it to you in two different colors to show you how much different it can look depending on your background, your frame, the colors that you choose for your windmills. All of that plays a huge role in what your final project will look like. So thanks so much for tuning in and for joining me for this tutorial. I would have probably had this up earlier, but due to my power going out yesterday, and then I had an appointment, and by the time I got back and it was time to get dinner and everything ready for the next day, I did not get a chance to do that. So anyway, better late than never. So here's our beautiful card, and I just want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of my my very crafty family, for always supporting me in everything that I do, and I just love you guys so much, and thank you again. And remember what I always say when I close every video: I want to give God all the glory that He deserves, and He deserves every fiber of my being. He made me, He redeemed me, and I can never thank Him enough for that beautiful gift of salvation. And I want this to be something that you really concentrate on this entire year. Let everything that you do and say, every action, every word, every attitude, bring glory to Him. If it doesn't, don't do it. God bless and keep you, and a very, very happy new year. Until we craft again, bye-bye.